There are two key things about domestic violence we want to tell you about. First, it happens in a cycle. And second, it's about power and control. Domestic violence happens in a cycle. This cycle looks different in every relationship, but it tends to follow the same pattern. Every relationship starts in the honeymoon phase. During this time, the couple becomes very close emotionally, the effect of the generosity, helpfulness, and genuine interest from the partner. In this phase, your partner makes you feel important, cared for, listened to, and valued. Then it fades and moves into the tension-building phase, a period of increasing pressure, mood swings, irritability, demands, and emotional withdrawal. This phase may feel like you're walking on eggshells. You can tell something is about to happen. Once the tension reaches an unbearable level, it ends with the explosive episode. This is when the abusive outbursts happen. This can be a push or a shove, a threat being made or carried out, or more high-risk behaviors like choking or strangulation. However, this doesn't last forever. The cycle comes full circle, and we're back in the honeymoon phase. Gifts, reconciliation, physical affection, attention, promises, or apologies. During this phase, it feels like things are finally back to normal. You are reminded of the reasons why you fell in love with this person. You are beginning again. Over time, the honeymoon phase will become shorter and sometimes will fade completely. But why does the cycle continue? What brings people together is love, and people stay in the cycle because they have hope that things can change, will change, or go back to the way they once were. And many are afraid of what might happen if they try to leave. Remember, it's not unusual to be in this cycle, and you're not alone if you are. So, we've talked about the cycle of violence and the pattern a domestic violence relationship can take. Now let's talk about power and control. Here we're going to highlight some of the different tactics an abuser can use to maintain power and control in a relationship. The power and control wheel is one way to talk about these tactics. The outside ring represents what domestic violence is usually seen as: physical and sexual violence. Sexual violence includes sexual assault, rape, and making you feel like you don't have a choice. There are other tactics abusers can use that we don't talk about as much: intimidation, emotional abuse, isolation, denying or minimizing, using children, male privilege, economic abuse, and coercion and threats. Here's a little more about each of those. First is intimidation, making the partner afraid by using threats, looks, and gestures, destroying the partner's property, abusing pets, or displaying weapons or kitchen implements. Next is emotional abuse, putting him or her down, humiliating the person, playing head games, not taking responsibility for actions, ridiculing the partner's appearance or sexual performance. Then there's isolation, controlling what he or she does, who the partner sees and talks to, what he or she reads, and where they go, limiting the partner's outside activities and using jealousy to justify actions. Next is denying, minimizing, and blaming, making fun of the abuse and not taking his or her concerns seriously, saying the abuse didn't happen, shifting responsibility for the behavior, or saying it's the partner's fault. Then there's using children, making the partner feel guilty about the children, using children to relay messages, interfering with visitation, or threatening to take the children away. Abuse can also be using male privilege, treating her like a servant, making all of the big decisions, acting like the king of the castle, and being the one to define gender roles. Another tactic is using economic abuse, preventing the partner from getting or keeping a job, making the partner ask for money, or not letting them have access to the family income. Finally, the use of coercion and threats, making and/or carrying out threats to do something to hurt the partner, threatening to leave, to commit suicide, to report the partner to welfare or other government agencies, threats of deportation, or even threatening to make a false accusation. Why do we want you to know about the cycle of violence and the power and control wheel? We believe that you have the right to know the real reason why your partner is hurting you. We want you to know that the abuse is not happening because of things you are or are not doing. Instead, the abuse is happening solely because that is your partner's way of keeping power and control over you. We also want you to know that you are not alone and there are people waiting to help you. Please consider dialing one of these numbers to have a confidential call with an advocate.